We're going to talk NBA trade deadline as the chaos has descended upon the NBA. We'll see if we get any other massive breaking news tonight here, or we're going to talk to a guy that's as tapped in as anybody, and that is Audacy Sports NBA insider Nick Friedell. He's on the line with us now. Check out all of Audacy's newest sports podcasts on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Nick, we'll get to all the NBA stuff in just a second, but we were just discussing right before the break. You had on a Ryan Sandberg shirt last week. You got on a Wrigley shirt here today. I mean, spread the wealth a little bit, man. Throw a little Nick shirt on for me. You're appeasing Brad. You're appeasing our producer, Brandon Combs. Where's the New York memorabilia? I got to get you some, I guess.
Well, Pat, you know what's hilarious is I saw your man Tibbs last night in San Francisco. So he's making the rounds. He's getting ready to try and get back in the next job somewhere. But that was the Knicks. That was as close as I'm going to get to a Knicks relic at some point in the next few weeks here.
Wow. That would have been sweet. Look, man, I love Tibbs. And it's not easy when you grow a fondness and a love for a coach, but then also, at least in my opinion, realize that the best is probably to move on. So I know Tibbs is definitely not happy about how things transpired. It's like the worst kept secret. But all right, let's get to the juicy stuff here. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are about to be the latest franchise to learn the hard way, the Harden way, if you will, that trading for James Harden isn't going to bring any closer to a championship. They send Darius Garland and a second-round pick to the Clippers for the beard. James Harden has a player option at the end of the season for $42 million, but he's almost certainly going to want to get paid long-term this offseason instead. What do you think of the big trade from yesterday for both sides here? And how is this tandem going to work between Harden and Donovan Mitchell?
If you're looking for a championship, it's not going to work. I have watched James Harden, I feel like, at every stop there is. And while there are moments where he is still awesome, and Pat, there will be moments in the playoffs you're like, whoa, 35 in a heartbeat. He can still make it happen. There are way too many other times where you watch Harden and he just disappears. And when you are banking on him at this stage of his career to be a dominant force, good luck. I mean, as the second I saw that trade go down and I thought, all right, Cleveland's going all in with James Harden. It's like that scene in Taken where Liam Neeson is just listening to good luck over and over and over again. Like, how many different times are we going to see Harden have these moments where you go, what is happening? So I understand why Cleveland's trying something different. I never felt like Garland was going to be the guy they needed him to be, which is why you make this move. But if you are banking on James Harden, I got some bad news for you.
Well said, mi amigo. Nick, the Bulls have been wheelers and dealers, to say the least, ahead of the NBA trade deadline tomorrow. What did you make of the moves thus far involving the acquisition of Jaden Ivey, the Anthony Simons and Nikola Vucevic deal, and, of course, with Kobe White and Mike Conley, who was a member of Chicago Bulls for a hot minute, going to Charlotte today? Would you describe these trades as more perplexing or promising? And the follow-up question for that, do you think it's just housekeeping possibly to get Giannis, or are they just trying to own the entire second round into perpetuity?
Brad, I think their team logo for the rest of this season should be Mark Tatum, the deputy commissioner of the league, who stands up there in the second round and he makes the picks. They should put Mark Tatum's face on the Bulls jersey, because the team that never cared less about second-round picks, they have so many second-round picks that you sit there and you go, what the hell are they doing? What's going on?
Right.
So, is it promising? Hell no, it's never promising with the Bulls. So long as Karnisovas and Eversley are running the show there, it is never going to be what fans want it to be. I don't even blame them at this point anymore. You blame Jerry Reinsdorf and his son Mike. Jerry and Mike put these guys in place. They have been mismanaging this team for years. Instead of firing them and moving on to somebody else, what do? The Bulls give them contract extensions. So if you're really believing that the Bulls are finally actually picking a lane, which is really bad, and they're going to turn things around. It's just never going to happen with this front office in place. This team is stuck in mediocrity because of the way it's run from the top down. And if you're mad at somebody as a Bulls fan, there is nobody who deserves more blame than Jerry Reinsdorf and Mike Reinsdorf.
All I got to say is, Nick, that's why God made Malort. Because we can just drink our sorrows away in the Windy City.
Yeah, you can drink your sorrows away and get sick.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, it's appropriate given what is going on with the Chicago Bulls franchise right now. All right, let's pivot away from the despair of the Windy City and go to the reigning world champs, that being OKC. They made a nice move, at least from my point of view, with Jared McCain, getting him off the roster from Philadelphia, more of a rotational player this year, but had a hot season a year ago, averaged over 15 points per game. What are your thoughts about him heading to the Thunder from the city of brotherly love? Do you like the relocation, and how does he fit in with this OKC team?
I do, because I think if you have a young player who can shoot and spread the floor for everybody else, Brad, if you're an executive trying to trade with Sam Presti, I mean, why would you ever feel like, oh, yeah, I really feel good about this deal? I want to give away a prospect that I thought was going to be somebody I could potentially build around. The second the Presti calls, I would just hang up. This is like the old days in Moneyball with Billy Beane at this point. When he wants somebody who he identifies that can work on that team, just stay away. But he continues to find pieces that fit for what they've built. And in so many ways, guys, it reminds me of a college program, because what Presti has done is he's taken these pieces and he said, okay, can McCain be the guy we need him to be for 15, 20 minutes a game and shoot it from the outside? Sure. And if it doesn't work for whatever reason, we'll just load up somebody else, because we got 3,000 different picks in the next few years. So I like the fit. I like the talent. But even more, I believe in Presti. And when Presti knows somebody that he sees and can identify as fitting in his organization, there's no reason not to think it will work.
Mm-hmm. On the line is Audacy Sports NBA insider Nick Friedell. Check out all of Audacy's newest sports podcasts on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Nick is with us here on BetMGM tonight. He's Brad Evans. I'm Pat Boyle, Westwood One Sports. Nick, I just said on the show yesterday, I thought it would be prudent for the Mavericks to actually hold on to Anthony Davis and see what next year's squad looked like with Cooper Flagg, AD, Kyrie Irving coming back from a torn ACL, PJ Washington, and either Najee Marshall or Max Christie. I thought 50 wins wasn't out of the question, but new regime. They don't want Nico Harrison's fingerprints on the roster anymore. So that was the blockbuster of the day yesterday. Today. AD goes to the Wizards to team up with Trae Young. God knows when we're going to see either of them, because they know they've got to be one of the four worst teams. Otherwise, they convey that first-round pick to my New York Knicks, and they don't want to do that. So don't be surprised if you don't see them until the middle of March. But anyway, Wizards also get a couple of other role players. Who knows if they'll even be on the roster in the near future, like D'Angelo Russell. The return for Dallas is an expiring Chris Middleton contract, a couple of other role players, 2 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks. They got more for Anthony Davis than they did for Luka Doncic. What do you think of this trade? And are the Wizards anywhere closer to, I don't know, like playing tournament, playoffs with Anthony Davis and Trae Young and their young core? What do we think of this trade?
Well, let's start with the Wizards, because I understand why you're making this swing. Guys, you're the Wizards. You are completely irrelevant. You've been mismanaged for years. You really didn't give up that much. If you are banking on a team that is built around Anthony Davis and Trae Young, yikes. I mean, that shows how bad things have been for all the years leading up to this point, because everybody, it's like when teams clear out some veteran who has a name brand and the guy gets bought out, and you go, I'll give you an example from a few years ago. It's like, whoa, Blake Griffin's going to be on the Brooklyn Nets. He can still play. You know how good he used to be? You plug him in the bench and he can give you 20 minutes. It's just Blake Griffin. when we talk about Anthony Davis and we talk about Trae Young now, these are not the same players as even a few years ago. These are not guys that you are building around that are going to be out there for 70, 75 games that you trust can lift up everybody else within your organization. So I know why the Wizards are trying. I just don't believe any of it's going to work because of the track record of those two guys. When you look at what else is happening, though, if you're Dallas, I mean, Brad, go get the rest of that Malort and just send it to Texas because they screwed that thing up so badly, and we don't know what the ramifications are in the short term. But, I mean, Pat, absolutely. It was like, we don't care. Let's just get off this deal. We don't want to pay this guy. We want to make the whole nightmare go away. The quicker we can get him out somewhere else, the faster we can try and rebuild around Cooper Flag. Fine. That was one of the single worst, the Luka moves. The single worst moves in pro sports history. When you trade that guy and you get back Davis and you say, we're going to build around defense, then he immediately gets hurt, and he gets hurt again. Guys, it makes me so sad for – there are so many loyal Mavericks fans, actually, through the years. And I'd give you this quickly. On Christmas, Davis leaves the game, and you're like, man, is he hurt? Like, what's going on? I forget exactly which injury it was. He walked out of that locker room after that game beaming, like talking to everybody. Hey, guys, what's up? He was so happy, and you're thinking, never, ever is this a guy that I want to build around for the foreseeable future for whatever team he may land on. So best wishes to the dozens of Wizards fans out there in existence. But that is a team that is going nowhere. And at least if you're a Mavericks fan, you can say, I can watch Cooper Flag and Nico Harrison can't mess it up anymore.
Yeah, no, Pixie does to make the Washington Wizards at all relevant, to say the least. Nick, let's go to a place that I know and love, lived there for 7 years, a Mile High City in Denver, Colorado. Nikola Jokic returned and immediately didn't skip a beat against OKC and Detroit. Both close losses for the Nuggets. He averaged 20 points per game, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists over that 2-game stretch. The Nuggets enter the night are third in the West. Are they the biggest threat to OKC in that conference? Also, do you feel that Jokic, the Joker, is worth an MVP ticket? And the numbers come down. It was plus 500 earlier today, now plus 325 because SGA is out until through, or at least through the All-Star break. So, knowing the absence of SGA, do you think you should fire off an MVP ticket with Jokic? And what do you make of Jokic and the Nuggets still being in third place with his return just recently? And how big of a threat are they to the Thunder overall?
Brad, let's take the Nuggets part of this first. Absolutely, I still believe in this team, and it's because of Jokic. The guy is that good. Anybody who watches night to night understands, but there are still plenty of people that don't watch this guy because he's got a boring public personality. They play in Denver. There's just not a lot of interest night to night around that team. That team is very good, and they can be great because of him. So I think they are absolutely the team in the West that can give OKC that push. As far as taking a flyer on Jokic to win, I wouldn't, just because he's going to come way too close to the game max there of missed games. He already missed a chunk. I wouldn't expect him to be out there every single night. I know that it would be a fun story if he was out there and he played and he was his usual dominant self. It's just not something that I would want to invest in because if SGA comes back and he's out there on the floor and they keep winning, this thing's a done deal.
Okay. Yeah, the Nuggets have played 51 games. They just started with my New York Knicks right now. They've played 51 games. Jokic has played 35. So that means he can only afford to miss one more game the rest of this season because you have to play 65, right? Minimum is 65. So he can only miss one more game. It's not not ideal. Not ideal. We're talking with Nick Friedell, Audacy Sports NBA insider here on BetMGM tonight for another 2 minutes or so. Nick, finally, look, we're all waiting on Giannis. Our producer, Brandon Combs, is putting in the show chat right now. According to NBA Central, who is, I would say, normally reliable. They can definitely have an aggregating tinge to them. But according to NBA Central, the Bulls are in trade talks with New Orleans and Houston to try to acquire Zion Williamson.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, look, we're waiting on Giannis. Possibilities for these following players to be traded. Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, my guy Kuminga, and I know Draymond Green, that has really picked up some heat here in the last 48 hours. You're very close to the Warriors. Also, Jared Allen. And then if the Memphis Grizzlies can find anybody to give them anything worth Ja Morant, they're going to do it. What are you hearing on those top names embroiled in trade rumors here with less than 20 hours to go into the deadline? And do we have any other stunners potentially coming?
Pat, let's start with the Warriors. It's all Giannis. I think they could tomorrow, if they know it's not going to happen and they just can't figure out and don't want to wait that long, maybe they could pivot. But I think they are all in on Giannis. And if it doesn't happen, they'll reassess what's going on in the summer. Draymond, Kuminga, Podziemski, all the picks, whatever. That's the move that they would like to make. I don't know if it will happen, though. As far as Ja Morant, this goes back to you just don't have enough interest. And it's a sad free fall for a guy who was thought to be the face of the league a couple years ago. And we know the reasons why. But if you're Memphis, you have to take whatever deal that you can at this point and just get off the contract. Because in a lot of ways, guys, it reminds me of the Anthony Davis stuff. You don't want to build around Ja anymore. You're rebuilding. You traded Jaren Jackson Jr. It's over. So trade Ja and see what happens from there. As far as a potential stunner, I don't see one right now, but I'd also tell you for all these deals that we're talking about, I don't see any of them right now changing the balance of power that much. I'd say the one that intrigues me the most is Jackson in Salt Lake City, but whatever that may be is a couple years down the line because they're not set up to win right now. So all of that being said, all these teams will continue to be on the lookout, but I don't foresee a deal that you look at tomorrow and go, whoa, that is really going to alter how the top of the East or West comes to be.
All right, Nick. Well, we appreciate it, man. Big 18 hours or so coming up for you and the rest of the league. We can't wait to chat with you next week and put together all the pieces and get ready for NBA All-Star Weekend. So enjoy it, man. We appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Always great to be with you guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Nick.
There you go. That was Audacy Sports NBA insider Nick Friedell. Check out all of Audacy's newest sports podcasts on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.